Are you and your significant other looking at buying a house together? Well, before you begin the process of looking, real estate experts Dhillon and Sonya Gill are here with some tips on where to begin, because first comes love, then comes mortgage. How you doing?
Good.
There was a survey, that I think it's a couple of years old, but a survey from TD that said 1 in 4 Canadian couples are buying a home either before or outside of marriage, and there's a lot of issues to deal with and to be concerned with.
Well, you know what? I think it's a great idea, actually, to, you don't have to necessarily buy a home, but just, in a relationship goal, you should kind of live together first.
Mm-hmm. Renting?
Renting would be great, right? A good idea just to kind of say, hey, are we going, and I'll tell you stories later on about people that actually have bought together, and I would be showing them around, and they'd go buy a house, and they're all happy, and the house comes, and I'll get a call a year later and say, Rick, can we sell this house?
And next thing you know, you thought you were a real estate agent and you're a psychologist. You get caught in between.
Hey, I've been a psychologist way too many times, right? But I love it. Anyhow, it's good for the relationship in general, just to figure out, hey, can we be living together before we get into this commitment?
Right.
Because the mortgage is just as much of a commitment as the marriage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you talk about selling, so let's talk about title, and how you sort that out and paying for it in that whole process. Who pays what, and if you are selling, who cashes out?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we were living together first, and then we got engaged, and now we're house hunting right now. So, and actually, that was one of the conversations we had yesterday: is who's going to go on title. I'm in the midst of building out my second business, and then he's in real estate; he's the real estate expert. So we're in the midst of figuring out who's going to go on title, or are we both going to go on title, or how's it going to work out? Yeah,
and the perfect example is just in any relationship, just the communication aspect, right? Communicate what's happening, because you know what, it is some of the reasons, one of the biggest reasons why couples break up is,
you don't want any surprises.
It's the finances. Right?
Credit history, for example, because when you're going in, you may be buying jointly, but they look at you individually.
Yes.
And you know what, with all the new mortgage rules, it's tougher to get mortgages.
Higher, the stress test, it's a
they get the
higher
stress.
bar.
That's a different topic for a different day. That could be a whole new segment.
But it is an issue, and one of the things to think about. What are the other don'ts? Or mistakes that couples are making?
Well, you know what, investment-wise, like, you kind of want to get into the fact that, you want the nice kitchens and the nice master bedrooms and stuff, but also, if it's a young couple, look at the schools, you want to look at the transportation if you're going to have kids, and don't fall too in love with a forever home, because it's not like before where you buy a house and you live in it for 20 to 25 years. You're going to have
so
a
buy
couple
strategically.
of steps. Buy strategically, and I was just going to get to that. Most importantly, look at the investment side of it. Is this house that I get for $500,000? You can't get $500,000 these days, but for is that going to grow to $600,000? Is that going to grow to $700,000? So I can build my equity and go where I want to go.
And once credit's approved, you got that mortgage, but again, the finances, that's something you got to talk about too, and just who's responsible for what.
I mean, that's a conversation that every couple is always dreading to have, right? And you've got to really lay things out. And one of the things that we have learned in our relationship is really communicating the stuff you don't want to communicate. And who's making more or who's making less, or how much each person is coming in with, right? It's an uncomfortable conversation to have, but it's one that you should have.
Absolutely.
A friend of mine said it the best. He goes, any system can work, just make sure it works for you. And have a system.
Oh, yeah, okay. And we'll end on that. We'll link up your website for more valuable information as you go house hunting. All right, we got your drive into work too with more Morning Lab coming up after this.